freezer staples, frozen mashed potatoes, and frozen peas and carrots to make my freezer fix shepherd's pie. Yep, so I've got my 9x13 pan here. I've got leftover shredded pork butt from GZ. And I'm sauteing some onions here in my skillet with a little butter and dried sage. It smells just so warm and nice. You could also use frozen onions. If you have the frozen diced onions, that would work as well. Okay, so I'm gonna add to this some all-purpose flour. And this is just gonna help everything thicken up and make a nice gravy in our shepherd's pie. Now, you could totally do this recipe with a store-bought rotisserie chicken, shred it up. You could do it with browned ground beef, ground lamb, ground pork, ground chicken. Yeah. You know, you can really just play with it and make it your own. All right, so you just wanna let that flour get nice and brown, take out the flour flavor, and it's gonna help us get nice and thick. And I'm gonna add to it some Dijon mustard.
Oh, there we go.
Yep, this gives a lot of flavor, and it also just gives like a nice texture to your sauce, I think.
Do you guys know the difference between cottage pie and shepherd's pie, which is pretty traditional?
The meat, It's
the meat, right? Cottage pie is made with ground beef, and shepherd's pie is made with ground lamb. And the name shepherd's pie was named after the shepherds who herded the lamb and sheep directly into a pot, I guess. And then
and now some frozen peas and carrots. All right, so throw those right in. Freezer. Freezer fix. And now I'm gonna add a pantry fix, low sodium chicken stock.
I just want to say that shepherd's pie brings me way back, because when you work in a French kitchen or a traditional kitchen, you have to make staff meal, a family meal. Yeah. You got to do it real fast, and shepherd's pie was a go-to, because it's like everything left over, ground up, potatoes on top, cheese in the oven, and it feeds. It's got enough 20, 30
What's your
people.
favorite cheese for shepherd's pie?
I put Parmesan on it and Swiss.
Oh, I put Havarti in between the layers.
No, we didn't go. We had like.
I didn't know there was cheese in traditional.
Everything
Sometimes.
it was anything laying around. That's what you have to. You just worked with like scraps.
Right, so you just let this come to a low boil, and it'll start to thicken up. That flour will start to do its magic, and season it with a little salt, a little bit of pepper.
Boom.
And then for my other freezer fix, frozen mashed potatoes. They come in a bag, and then you can kind of give them a little extra life by putting some milk and butter in it when you heat them up.
Can I fill the bag? I just want to see, is it a clump or what's going on?
Well, they're all different. I've bought some that are in a plastic container, some in a bag, and then you microwave it or heat it up in a skillet.
The technology for freezing now is so good. They can freeze it so quickly, it doesn't damage the legume or the vegetable.
The legume.
Now I'm gonna add this leftover shredded pork into the skillet.
Can I get you as my ringtone just saying legume?
Yes.
Thank you.
What?
He said legume. This is beautiful. He's a wordsmith.
And then this will continue to thicken in the heat of the oven. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put it into my grease dish. Okay, so you can see how nice and thick and hearty this looks. Doesn't that look great?
Just like that, it
comes together so quickly. It's
so
a
fast.
great weeknight meal. Great way to use your leftovers. And then just transfer it right into
look how bright those carrots and peas are, too.
I know.
Yeah, you get everything in one bite. Okay, so spread that out. And now those mashed potatoes. I got these nice and creamy with a little extra bit of butter.
So basically, we paid for the first dish, right? And now this is free.
Yeah.
So
courtesy of your freezer.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing.
Yeah. It's really a good one. And this is something you could probably eat on for 2 days as well.
Yep.
Easy.
Spread out those mashed potatoes. And maybe you've had leftover mashed potatoes. You can take those and put them in the freezer. I've made this with mashed butternut squash on it. But the mashed cauliflower that they're selling now is great. Okay, so a little bit of Parmesan cheese on top, and this just helps it get nice and browned. Adds a little extra flavor to it. Good stuff there. I'm gonna hit it with just a little bit of pepper, and then it goes into the oven, 350 degrees. And I've got one.
It's like quick boil this too, if you want it, right? Because
everything's cooked. Yeah, I just want everything to get hot.
You gotta bubble it.
You gotta bubble it?
Yeah. We want the edges to bubble.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, if you didn't have the time, you could probably
So it goes into the oven, 350 degrees for 50 to 60 minutes. And comes out like this.
Good Lord.
It's good looking leftovers, right? Yep. Leftovers, it doesn't mean that you're taking the stuff out of the refrigerator, putting it in the microwave. Give it a little bit of loving, and you can have something like this.
See,
so
people,
good.
come on, use your brains. That's why we're here.
I love
I do
leftovers.
too. We actually had some leftovers in my family that we're actually still wondering what the original meal was.
My husband gets on me because he says that I make us eat leftovers too much, to the point that in our wedding vows, I said that I would never make him eat stuffed peppers again because there was a time that we had them 5 days in a row.
That's too much.
And he was like, no more.
Look at that, girl.
I think 3 days is the cutoff. 2 is pushing it.
Sometimes it's so good you do want to repeat it exactly as is.
Katie, can we have a slightly larger portion, please?
Goodness gracious.
I mean,
Look at
I
that.
always want to go back for seconds.
I think the audience is going to want a piece of this, huh?
This smells delicious.
What do you think, audience? You feed them. That's right. Not only are they a real audience,
Happens
they
to me
get
every
real
day when I
food.
look in the window at that applause
Since
meter.
you thought they were too big of portions, you and Jeff can share.
There we go. Look at this. Just like old times.
Could I have some ice with my champagne, please?
Here you go, GZ. Here's your portion.
No, it's fine.
This is comfort food,
Here we
Katie
go.
Lee. This is comfort on 10. You've already
What the heck
got
is
that
Oh,
pulled pork that just percolated and simmered for us. Slow cooking food is always the best food. It sticks to your bones. It's
I mean, that
delicious.
pork is cooked perfectly.
It's super, JC, of course, your pork is, well, let's be real. Not only is it cooked perfectly the first time, but it holds up the second time,
Yeah.
and that's what's really key. It's not dried out or anything like that because you added so much good, luscious flavor. But what I truly do love about this is that, you know, savory brulee feeling of the parm over the top. You kind of crunch into it. Great combo. It's not shepherd's pie, but it's shepherd's pie, baby girl. This is delicious.
An American twist on a shepherd's pie with my sweet potato and turkey shepherd's pie.
Aren't you fancy?
We did a little dice of carrots and celery and onions. I feel like we always have that in the fridge hanging around. Those 2 carrots left in the bag that are kind of lonely.
Sad, they're sad.
You have some fully baked sweet potatoes,
Yes.
Sunny. These are just baked in the oven, literally with nothing. We're just gonna peel them.
Okay.
Pop them in the food processor to make a little rustic puree. And I've got a pound of ground turkey, just browning away with a lot of salt and pepper.
Where did the term shepherd's pie come from?
I assume it comes from
Gotta be from
the
shepherds, right?
connection between the lamb and the shepherd. Okay, so we have in here a pound of ground turkey that I've just browned off. And the browning is so important to just start developing that flavor. Same pan, I'm taking Sunny's absolutely stunning dice of celery, which was peeled, by the way, because we can get a little fancy on a weeknight if we want. So carrots and celery right where we cook that turkey, so we're soaking up all those flavors. Turkey, healthy because it's lower in saturated fat than beef, but turkey actually has more calories than beef, ground turkey.
Seriously.
But to my mind, turkey is hearty. And ground turkey is satisfying. You eat it and you're not like,
Is that dark meat or white meat?
dark meat. Most ground turkey, by the way, is usually a mix of
Yeah.
light and dark. I like either, honestly, for this. I find the light meat is a little leaner. So if you want to just be a little leaner and cleaner, you can do that. Salt, pepper in here with just some diced red onion, celery, and carrots. And we're just getting that just nice and tender. Just this makes me hungry, honestly. So Sunny has just those sweet potatoes that she's blending up. I have melted a stick of butter and it's browned. So it has that wonderful flavor. Now here I've got the stick of butter. And I'm just gonna use a little to brush the baking dish while we're doing a little double duty. To this brown butter, I'm gonna add a tablespoon of molasses, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar,
And this is all going into the sweet potatoes? Oh, yum.
little nutmeg, about half a teaspoon, and a tablespoon of just ground up ginger.
Oh, yum.
Grated. Wow. This is like the oven-baked version of the slow cooker meal, right? So this is for Sunny. Sunny, this is just to add this wonderful flavor
I was
bomb.
gonna say, I really want to add some olive oil to make this go around, but I'm following you, chef.
Okay, I'm hoping the butter will do the trick. So now when these start to get a little tender, I'm gonna add them right to the meat.
You want a little crunch in it, right, Alex? You want to...
Well, this is gonna get baked in the oven, so you're gonna
Okay,
have
you want it-
time for those
all right.
vegetables to finish up.
So you could, if for the home cook, you could make 3 or 4 of these, freeze them, and then you have like...
Absolutely. Any day of the week is the right day of the week for me with frozen peas. I just love them.
that's
I have a
frozen
couple
peas.
bags
Wait,
hanging
Did you
around.
want any salt in here?
Yes, please. I just add them right in. They can literally just defrost them so the excess liquid, don't cook them at all.
I'm getting pot pie. I'm getting so many different versions of so many little things here. There's a lot of going on.
Little cup of stock in there, and then tablespoon of red wine vinegar just to wake everyone up.
I was waiting. I thought we ran out of vinegar.
Looking like this, around the corner, all creepily.
We want this at this point to be liquidy because it's gonna bake and do everything. That looks delicious.
Oh, I'd eat that on its own right there.
You did it. You really crushed that. I'm gonna give you also, in addition to the brown butter, some warm milk.
Got you.
Which you can add in. I don't add cream to sweet potatoes. I think cream really dulls the flavor. So I like to just add a little milk with that butter, and that feels like Thanksgiving to me.
I'm with you on that, Alex, because I think like when you're making mashed potatoes and you use milk instead of cream, they have a lighter texture too. They're fluffier.
Yeah. Just for the Thanksgiving vibes, couple grates of orange zest and the juice from the orange itself. And then we just start layering. We layer and we bake, right? It's so exciting the way this, and you could totally put this together, come home, throw it in the oven, and there's nothing, right? So the kitchen looks kind of quiet. Everybody's like, wait, where's dinner? And you're like, oh, excuse
Bubbling
me.
away, huh?
Yeah.
Got this mix, and you see it's deliberately liquidy because we want that steam from beneath to just moisturize this whole thing while it's baking. You know what I mean? We're moisturizing.
Cheapers,
It's
creepers.
Thursday.
This is
It's Friday
Thursday.
Junior, people.
I'm calling it Friday Senior now. I'm excited about this. I don't know what's going
Baby
on.
Friday.
I
This
mean,
just goes
Friday's
in.
gonna have a lot to live up to.
I know. I don't know what we're making for that,
Thursday.
but
And by the way, you could skip the celery, carrot, onion, and just do the turkey and the
Or
peas.
leftovers. Or leftovers. Whatever you have in the box. And it's
Scallions.
chopped up.
Yeah. I like when I put something like this together and I don't even wanna bake it. I wanna eat it right away.
it's a good sign.
And now we're just gonna gently start, gently, snow on the cedars, little Bob Ross here,
Y'all ever heard of sweet potato dip?
right on, gently on top. I'm gonna get this into the oven. I baked it at 375 degrees for about 30 to 35 minutes. Let's
Jeffrey,
check it out.
hi.
Jeffrey is hungry. I can always tell.
I'm like,
He
come on.
follows you to the oven,
He,
right?
He preloaded his fork right there.
Look at that. Put that
Because
right
it's
here.
too far in the carafe.
It's ready.
The Thanksgiving vibes are on.
Yeah,
That's a
it's
show.
Friendsgiving. This is perfect
That's
for
a
Friendsgiving.
showstopper right there. Showstopper.
Take a nose bath. Come on. You know what I mean? Get a nose bath in there.
That's what-
This
It
is
is.
better than like a good candle.
And the sugars in the
In the
sweet
bath.
potatoes have like changed. They've gone deep. Oh,
Come on, girl. Come on, girl.
Oh, look at that.
No. I went a little light for you, a little high protein. Now, don't be tacky and take all the sweet potato topping.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You know, it has like a
so mean.
meatloaf vibe going on, I must
Yeah, I can
say.
see that.
Can you have me one of your... There you go.
So good.
It actually is light. It doesn't, you think it's heavy, it's not. It's a perfect weeknight meal.
A hearty chickpea squash pot pie that's got everything that's good about autumn. Squash, apples, coziness, a blanket of phyllo dough, all served up in a cast iron skillet. My skillet is hot already. I'll drizzle in a tablespoon of olive oil and plop in a couple of tablespoons of butter. I'll pile in my mirepoix. I have a chopped yellow onion and a few stalks of celery that are chopped, and some carrots that I've sliced into thicker coins. I'll sprinkle in a couple of good pinches of salt to help draw out the moisture of the vegetables, which will allow them to soften. I'll stir this around and give them a good 7 to 10 minutes so that they can sweat out. I'll add some earthy thyme, got 4 cloves of chopped garlic, 2 teaspoons of za'atar, it's bright, it's nice, a teaspoon of paprika, and a pinch of cayenne. Smelling that thyme already. I'll stir this in and allow the spices to toast, allow the garlic to cook, and once it's smelling really fragrant, that's your sign to go on to the next step. Dry red wine is gonna help me deglaze, and it will contribute delicious depth. Before I add any other ingredients, I want to allow the red wine to reduce, just leaving behind the flavor. I do want to cook off that alcohol. This red wine is reduced by half. I'll pour in the rest of the braising liquid. I have 1 15-ounce can of crushed tomatoes and 2 cups of low-sodium vegetable stock. I'll plop in some cubed, colorful butternut squash. And now to cut some of the sweetness, I'll chop and add a sourish apple. Next, a 1/4 cup of chopped fresh parsley. Let me stir these in and allow them to start to get soft. I'll also toss in a bay leaf to infuse more herby flavor. It smells good. Now that I've put the whole garden into this pot, I'm ready for some protein. 2 cans of rinsed chickpeas will soak up this stew and get creamy, kind of melt down. I am going to allow this big honkin' skillet to simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes. I want the flavors to meld and for the squash to start to soften. I'll finish this off with a splash of vinegar for acidity, honey to balance, salt, and then grab my crispy, irresistible topping. I'm using phyllo dough. One very important thing to keep in mind when you're working with phyllo is that you want to prevent it from drying out. So I've got a wet paper towel here. I'm gonna work with one at a time. I'll brush with a thin layer of butter to help it get crispy and delicious. I'll sprinkle it with za'atar. To transfer this on top of my pie, I'll slip my hands under it and bunch it up so that it sort of looks like a rustic rose. Like a flower. Right here on top. And I like to give it some good height so that you get those crispy bits. You wanna handle this delicately, gently, and quickly. Oh yeah, this is gonna be a good one. I wanna cover the entire surface area of the stew. I'll finish with a pinch of flaky salt, like sparkly body glitter, and it'll bake at 375 degrees for 25 to 30 minutes. It'll look stunning. Ooh. Isn't that striking? Just needs a sprinkle of parsley for a pop of freshness and greenery. Make sure it's okay. It's like phyllo music to my ears. Oh yeah, look at that. So steamy. It's like it hugs my insides. That flaky, crunchy phyllo dough on top is awesome.
Rah-rah ramen!
Yeah! Rah-rah ramen!
All right, I'm gonna do one of my favorite dishes. I've been making this pot pie my whole life, and I used to make it all the time at the 21 Club, where I was chef there for a few years. It was our best seller, and to me, in the winter, a pot pie is just like magical, right? It's a beef stew, but made with chicken. So, very simple recipe. We have first of all taken the ramen and blanched it, and for the children, I like to take, after it's blanched, scissors and just go right in there and cut it once or twice.
Love that. They have
Very
scissors on
simple.
the side of the table at every Korean noodle shop.
Seriously?
Just so you can do that.
Really?
Jeez.
Great idea.
And I have here just very simple. This is butter and flour. We're making a blonde roux, which means 3 or 4 minutes. We're just cooking it very slowly until we get the raw flour taste out of that. And we're gonna add a little cream and a little milk. And would you help me by chopping up these chives?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And we're just gonna get that to simmer. As you can see, it's starting to get silky and thicken right away. You see that? Right before your eyes. Then we're gonna add some chicken stock. And get that back to a boil. And I like to do it in this pan because it's a wide mouth wok pan. And it really works nicely. And we're just gonna add everything in here. Some beautiful diced roast chicken breast, some carrots, some peas.
It's a great little one-pot meal for kids, too. You've got veggies, you've got protein,
This
you've
is
got
a
the whole thing in there.
one-pot plan.
It's a one-pot
I
plan.
forgot all about this. Oh, my goodness. Don't forget salt and pepper. The foundation of life is really salt, I think. And then we're gonna just fold in the ramen. They're already cooked, so you don't have to recook them. All right?
I love this.
This
is
is
gonna
really-
be
you'll see
texture
how
I've
nice this
never
is.
had in a chicken pot pie before.
So you see how nicely that's thickened up? That's just like a minute or two. Give it a quick boil. Katie, would you throw those chives in there for me?
Sure.
Okay. And then what we're gonna do is we have here, we're gonna shut the heat off.
That looks great. I
We
just
have
go
here
with that.
just a store-bought pastry crust, okay? We're just gonna take our ramekins. This is about, what, a 3.5-inch ramekin? And we're just gonna take a scoop here. You put it on the chives in there. Thank you.
No buttering
You
needed?
don't have to. There's plenty of love in there. It's not gonna stick, and if it sticks, it's even better,
All right.
okay?
Word up, GZ. I love it when it sticks. It gets crusty in the corners.
Of course, that's what it's half about. It's about caramel, you know? That's love. Caramel is love. And you want to top it off, right? Not too much. We got a little room for expansion. And then we take our crust. We just put it right on there. You can crimp it, but I don't really think it really needs it because it's going to, like, sort of fall down anyways.
You don't need to put anything on it to stick? Just
Nope, just
on its
like
own?
this. No, and I'm going to put just a touch of egg wash. You don't have to, but I like to do that.
Just a little egg and water to create
Little
some
shine.
shine.
And what I like to do is put like a little pair of chopsticks in the top.
Of course.
All right, and just a few holes.
I call that curb appeal.
Curb appeal into a 425-degree oven for about 30 minutes.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Grow it, GZ.
Who's gonna taste? You gonna taste, Sonny?
Yes, sir.
Look how nice
Oh, look how beautiful.
How beautiful that is.
So cute.
Now you got a spoon. Come on, I'm just gonna put that right in front of you. Just go dig right in there.
Instant ramen sales yearly, $3.2 billion a year.
Billion?
Wow.
Billion, $3.2 billion a year. If
I'm in the wrong business. I need to be in the ramen business.
Start making ramen.
Billion.
Let me tell you something. This is good. It's the ramen. The texture in there is perfect,
And you can freeze it.
Yeah.
Put it right from the freezer right into the oven.
I am making an Egyptian spinach pie. I have about 4 pounds of spinach. I'm taking the stalks off and I'm slicing them into ribbons. Meanwhile, I'm sweating shallots and garlic in some butter and some ghee, just to make it just a little bit richer, because with all that cheese, it really needs some more richness. I add the spinach, toss, 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 cook it more and more until all the water evaporates. I'm gonna add a little bit of nutmeg too, and that kind of sets it apart from the Greek-style spinach pie. Next is to grate the cheese. I've got cheddar and I've got mozzarella. Now it's time to fold it all together. I fold the cheese with the spinach. I chop up some fresh dill and add it now so that it stays very aromatic and fresh. And then put a layer of pastry down in the casserole dish. Put the cheese and the spinach in. Put another layer of pastry on top. Pinch the edges closed. And then this is the dukkah if you wanted to try
dukkah?
it. Yeah. I'm just gonna use a few tablespoons.
Give me the rundown again. Hazelnuts and what?
Hazelnuts, cumin seeds, coriander seeds, sesame seeds. And then from there, you can kind of do whatever you like. I added a little bit of caraway just to be interesting. And that's
Look
it.
at this. I want you to see this.
So imagine taking a piece of bread and olive oil
all right.
and then dipping it right
I've got
in
it.
there.
Okay, let's go. Are we in the oven yet?
We are about to be. This is gonna go on top of here, and then we're baking. And then throw a blanket of dukkah right on top.
Beautiful.
So then Guy puts it in the oven for me. It's a 375-degree Fahrenheit oven, and we're gonna cook it for 20 to 30 minutes until it's just golden brown on top. This is an Egyptian spinach pie.
The cheese, spinach pie that she made. Oh!
Has dill in it and nutmeg. Really?
So good.
Wow.
That is great, Aarti.
Thanks, Matt.
Hashtag no carb left behind.
That's right.
I'm making my easy sausage and mushroom rigatoni pie. First, I want to show you this so I can get you to work.
Okay.
Okay, these are rigatoni. They've been boiled al dente because they're going to cook again. And what I've got here in my bowl, some parm, just some parsley. Jeff, if you don't mind, I'm gonna toss these, and what you're gonna do, you've seen these online, right?
Yeah.
And usually they're just all soldiers standing up
Yeah,
in the
they're like
whole
vertical.
thing,
Yeah.
vertical. Just do the edge, just the perimeter, okay? All right, so
perimeter.
over here in the pan, I've already started working with some hot Italian sausage, crumble it up
Sheesh.
like it's ground beef, get all of the fat out of it, and then add in the mushrooms. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna cook these mushrooms down, and you're gonna just season it with pepper, not salt. Why, GZ?
Because the salt will moisturize the mushrooms and take the water out.
Yeah.
Not good.
Exactly, and I'm already worried about the salt content that's already in the sausage, so you really don't want to add any salt at this point here because the sausage is coming in with that flavor. All right, so here is one of my store-bought shortcuts to get this done really fast. You know what I'm saying? Just buy the vodka sauce, okay? That's what you
Yeah.
do. You can buy the marinara. That's right, clap it up, baby. You know what I'm saying? Just pour some of that in here. Gonna add back to the pot
Did it.
all of that Italian sausage.
You got me.
All right, so what you're gonna do after you've got all of this sauce kind of married with the mushrooms and your Italian sausage, very simple, kind of hushes the pot. Gonna pour it right back over this bowl here.
Okay.
You working with me on this?
Yeah, I think so.
You're making pie.
I'm making a pie.
Sonny, this is also a great way, like if you want that feeling of like a baked ziti or a lasagna without all the work. This is a great way of doing it.
I would
Vodka
have to
sauce
agree.
gives you that creamy, you know.
Yeah, I don't think I knew what vodka sauce was until I moved to New York.
I didn't either. I had never even heard of it. Yeah.
Which is basically a marinara sauce that you add some vodka to, you cook off the alcohol and add a little heavy cream or a lot of heavy cream. You know, it just really depends on what you want to do. You got
It's
that
sort of
in
made
there?
a resurgence in the last 10 years. So, by the way, is pasta.
This is a little science for you, that
Science.
eating carbs can actually make you happier because carbs cause the body to produce serotonin, which is the chemical that helps you create feelings of happiness.
See?
Well, there you go.
So there you
See?
go. Carbs make you happy.
Exactly. All right, so see what we have here?
That's very easy. You have to stack them all up.
Super simple. I do not have time to go in and stacky stack and then pour the sauce over the top and hope
Stacky-stack.
that it goes through the canals of the rigatoni.
Yeah.
We don't have time for that. So, over the top of this,
You're only going to see the outside, right, when you unmold it.
provolone. Exactly. All I need is the curb
People.
appeal. Who cares about the inside?
Now here's what I want to
Exactly.
know from each of you guys. What's one carb you couldn't leave behind?
What?
Jeff,
Pizza, easily.
Sunny.
Oh, you know I'm like Oprah. I love bread.
I love bread.
Yeah, I can't go without bread.
Wine.
It is a carb.
I guess mine's bread, pasta, pizza.
Bread
Yeah.
pasta.
Oh, no, that's one
I know
more.
that.
All right, so see, I've kind of overlapped the pieces of provolone here.
Beautiful.
Give a little vent in the center. And then I'm just going to pile on the mozzarella cheese. Yup.
Yes.
Yeah, no carb
All of
left
the
behind,
cheese.
baby.
We're
It
gonna-
also
we have
includes
serotonin going in
cheese.
there and vodka.
You already know. Okay, the oven's at 375. This is only gonna take about 30 to 35 minutes. You really just want the top to look nice and bubbly and golden.
Good job.
And then comes out of the oven like this. I've had this resting a bit because that's what
Holy
you want to do.
moly.
Oh,
Right. And listen, we didn't tell you, this is a spring form mold. You can also do this in like a tall pie pan, but the beauty of this is releasing the spring so that you can see that curb appeal that we talked about. So,
It's all about that spring form pan.
you guys ready? No carb left, but it's gonna go straight to my behind.
Beautiful.
You like?
Beautiful.
So let me get this over here.
I'll tell you what, you serve that at a dinner party, everybody's gonna ooh and
Forget
ah, and it's easy.
One slice of that, glass of nice Barolo. Huh?
Oh, that
I'll
looks
take
so
that.
good. Look at those little crispy edges
here's
around the
That
top.
was amazing. All right, I got a little true or false here game
True.
All
with
right.
pasta, all right? Before pasta machines were invented, workers would knead pasta dough with their feet.
Oh,
It's
no.
so weird, I'm gonna say true.
No.
Correct, true, it is true, yes.
Ready?
Yep.
Yes, give it to us, Sonny.
That's a clean slice.
Oh
You
yeah.
know what I'm saying?
You get to taste
A
that.
clean slice of pasta.
A little parsley. Give yourself a little piece of basil there so you feel like you did something. More cheese over the top.
More cheese, more cheese. More!
Yeah, you know, you need a fork. You got that,
Yeah, I
Jeff?
think I was gonna try to pick it up, but it does look a little too.
Look at
So,
that.
look at that, though. You can kind of see right through it. I'm so excited.
You know, you guys want a slice?
Yes, my mouth is watering.
Done.
I think I would
and
just
done.
tell you something. My kids would love this.
Yeah, because it's cute. It's fun.
Like
Yeah.
having fun with food.
It's all about the curb appeal.
Oh, man. Clutch doing the vodka sauce.
Clutch.
That creaminess just coats your tongue with the extra little bit of fat in there. Oh, the gooey cheese, and that pasta is perfectly cooked. Al dente, right? Because you didn't overcook it when you were boiling it. This is the best slice of pasta I've ever had.
I see some lobsters, I see some truffles.
You didn't have to go take all of them. One large one. This is the beautiful black truffles that I had hidden.
So I cut up my lobster,
Got it.
I've been sweating it out, I put a little butter in there, get a nice caramelization.
Whole live Maine. You've got the
Exactly.
tamale. You got everything left in the cabeza.
Boom, right there.
Plus the legs and some of the body.
And then I've got my vegetables that are going in my pot pie.
Frozen peas, potatoes,
carrots, onions, celery,
got it,
and some
all
black
my
truffle,
truffles.
all your truffles.
So the lobster's not cooked. It's blanched off. You're not expecting it to be all the way cooked.
No, 'cause
because
it's
it's
gonna-
going to cook a little bit inside of this pot pie.
Because I've already diced up my potatoes to put in my pot pie. I'm gonna cook that in my cream and the milk. I've got my vegetables gone. I'm gonna put my truffles in. Now I'm gonna put it all together. Lobster's
Drop in the
going
lobster that was just lightly poached. Frozen peas.
Don't tell anybody, we're gonna put a little butter in here. He's rolling out my puff pastry.
Float this with puff pastry on top.
Some of this over
This is
here.
when all the greatness happens.
All right, coming in.
Oof.
Oh,
Bust her open.
wow.
That's for the queen.
Well, I really shouldn't, but I will. All the veggies are nice and tender. The lobster's not overcooked, so you poach it just enough to get it out of the shell. Love the little truffle kiss.
Southwestern pot pie.
Hey!
In a flash, Sonny.
Yes.
Rotisserized it.
Okay.
Got it over there. Made sure I got a fresh one from the guy.
You want me to-
10:15. I said, give me that one right off the
Shred,
right off the skewer. Shred. Make sure
And
you get some
then-
dark meat in there. Pick
Of
some
course.
whole cilantro leaves for me.
Oh, you would like me to hold pick?
Yes,
Let me
very
start
tenderly.
with that before I get the schmaltz all over me.
All right, we got a couple shortcuts. First, the rotisserie chicken. Then these frozen vegetables you get in the freezer section. They got your onions, your red bell peppers,
Everything.
green bell peppers, and that's it. It's got all your Southwestern stuff ready. If you want to chop them, go ahead. But this is a quick thing you can do. Save a little time. 3 tablespoons of butter in a cast iron skillet.
Save on cleanup.
Save on cleanup. If you got a nonstick cast iron skillet, you're doing things right in your home. While that starts to melt, I'm gonna get a jump start on the blooming of my spices, some chili powder.
Well, that's smart.
A little paprika, and then a little cumin. Right? While that's happening, we're gonna move it around a little bit. We got 2 tablespoons of AP flour. Come on, we're having fun, right?
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Okay, a lot of fun. All right, we're gonna, kind of get the beginning of a roux going quickly. Look at that, it's all happening in there. That's gonna help thicken it up, Geoffrey. A little bit of that melange of frozen Southwestern style vegetables, onions, look at that. So we're gonna kind of let these
hang out, right?
Kind of get a jump start.
They're cooked, right?
They're cooked. There's not much you need to do with it. We kind of brought our roux to where it needed to be, cooked it for about 30 seconds. And now we can start adding all of our other Southwestern vibes. So there's some frozen corn.
Corn.
Some black beans, right? Coat it all up, look at that. The adobo from the Chipotle, engaging on your spice level in your home. You can do 1, 2. I'm not gonna do too many. I mean, this is a tremendous amount of Chipotles that you think like, oh, I could just throw the can in there. Like it's the green chilies we got over here. It is not the same. There's a couple dots in there. And then those canned green chilies we love. Okay, in there, a little.
This is really like a wake-me-up comfort food. A lot of
Right.
spices, a lot of vibrant flavor.
Chicken's going in here. This is bursting with a lot of great veg in here. We don't need to cook that chicken any further. What we do need is to activate these biscuits. Sonny, we're gonna have these on the equator.
Let's do it.
Right? And,
peel through.
Right, peel through, so find kind of that natural seam in there. You could shut this off. So our heat's off, and now we can put these on like you would a pot pie.
Yeah,
It's like almost like a cobbler.
Yeah, or like chicken and dumplings, stuff like that. And that's why you're like, there's so much stuff in that pan. What are we gonna do? Well, you want these biscuits to, you want them to rise. You want them to be exposed to as much heat. And these are gonna kind of activate, puff up. You're gonna have a couple extra halves, but that's okay, Sonny, because those are gonna go in right next to it and a little something extra.
Yeah, you can make a little tiny,
And then recharge
ramekin.
it. Recharge it, do a little reboot. 350, about 13 to 15 minutes till golden brown. Oh, man. Oh, Geoffrey, how jello are you right now, brother? Look at that. Strength. Going in there, hot oven, bring it out, ready to go. Easy breezy, quick.
And easy.
Oh, come on
Southwestern
now.
chicken pot pie. I got toppings to go with this. Geoffrey, let me get a spoon for you. We got some Fresno chili, some whole leaf cilantro, a little lime, a little crema.
Wow, look
That's
at that
beautiful.
chicken.
Have some
Look at
yo-yo.
that. Oh, we're gonna get you some yo-yo. Look at that. I just got a little something on the side there, so you got a little extra.
I like the way you started out with so much liquid in the bottom. So when you bake it, it's really moist.
First of all, eye appeal, gorgeous. There's no way that this took 16 minutes in the oven.
Yep.
It tastes like it's been cooking all day in a slow cooker.
Yep.
Everything is balanced. The adobo, I don't taste the spice at all. It's just perfect, that deep, dense, rich flavor. It's light, it's not a lot of pastry, which sometimes the pastry ratio is not correct. This is such a good spin on a pot pie.
I am making tomato pie with pimento cheese. Now I'm going to get started on my crust. I've added a half a cup of cornmeal, 3/4 cup all-purpose flour. I'm also adding in a half a teaspoon of salt. Okay, now I'm adding a third of shortening. I'm just pulsing this until I get little pea size of that shortening. All right, cool. And now I'm gonna add in some cold water a little bit at a time until it forms almost a ball inside my food processor. Put it on low. It's coming together. It looks pretty good to me. I want to add a little flour on my cutting board here, a little bench flour. I'm going to take my crust. A tomato pie is basically made with a crust. Now, it could be cornmeal, it could be your standard crust. I like cornmeal crust for texture. All I'm doing right now is just forming my dough, and I want to form it into like a disc. So when it's time to roll out after it chills, it'll go directly in my pie shell, and it'll be easy to manipulate. All right, so that's a nice disc. Now I'm gonna wrap my dough into this plastic wrap and let it chill in the fridge for about 30 minutes. Grab my tomatoes. I thought it would be really great to use heirloom tomatoes for the color and the texture. I'm just gonna kind of slice them into like sandwich slices like this. Not too thin because you don't want it to basically melt or mush together inside the pie. So just enough sandwich slices. This is my last tomato slice. I'm gonna add some salt to my tomatoes to help draw out some of that moisture before I bake it with my pimento cheese. Now, while that sits there, I'm gonna grab my pie crust. It's chilled for about 30 minutes, and I'm gonna roll out the dough to fit the size of this pie dish. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is a rustic pie. I'm gonna gently mold my pie dough to the pie dish. All right, so I'm gonna do my simple crimping technique and just taking your pointer finger and your thumb and just pressing it in. All right. I'm gonna add a sheet of parchment paper to my dough. I'm gonna add some baking weights. Now, baking weights help to keep it nice and flat. That's good. My oven is preheated to 400 degrees. I am gonna bake it for about 20 to 25 minutes. I'm gonna grab the other ingredients for my tomato pie. I'm gonna use ham, my famous pimento cheese, got some onion, my house seasoning, parsley, and chives. All right, finished cubing my country ham. All right, I'm gonna put my ham in this bowl. I smell my crust. Think that's done. And let me turn my oven down to 350. All right, now I'm gonna layer my tomato pie. Start with a layer of the tomatoes. Sprinkle it with some of my house seasoning. That's some salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and paprika. Also gonna cut a few chives and fresh parsley to add to my layers. It's gonna give it a little herbiness, a little color. Add my pimento cheese. Oh, my pimento cheese. It's like none other. It's the best pimento cheese I've ever tasted. Now I'm adding my cubed ham, some onions, and these are just sliced white onions. Add a little of my parsley, some chives, and just repeat that layer. Now, once this bakes, all of the flavors and the layers are just gonna kind of meld together and make this cheesy, creamy concoction. My oven is preheated to 350. I'm gonna bake this off for about 30 minutes. Ooh, look at this. Bon appetit.
I have water going. We're gonna have to add salt to the water and then we're gonna cook the spaghetti. As I mentioned earlier, when I was a kid and we would have this, we would often make it with leftover spaghetti, but you could do it from start to finish this way too. I have water simmering I'm gonna put the salt in. It quickly comes up to a boil. At that point, we're dropping in our spaghetti. Now, if you were looking at the package of spaghetti, it would probably say cook spaghetti for 8 to 10 minutes. This is gonna get baked, so this is only gonna be about a 4-minute cook on the pasta. We're just letting it release its initial starches, start to kind of soften up a little bit so it's pliable and we can work with it, and then it'll continue to cook. So when you put that pasta in the water, give it a little stir, which is gonna help it from sticking. So what we're gonna use to kind of bind this spaghetti pie together is a little bit of ricotta cheese, some Parmigiano Reggiano. I'm just gonna grate this in here. And there's not a lot of this mixed with the noodles, but think of this almost a little bit as a binder. You have this, we're gonna toss it with tomato sauce, and this kind of holds everything together. So if you're visualizing it, you want kind of equal parts ricotta and Parmigiano Reggiano, 3 whole eggs.
Are there any cheeses besides Parm and ricotta that work really well together?
Yeah, well, Liv, this is kind of Italian themed, so I'm gonna use ricotta and Parmesan. They go great together. Pecorino Romano would also work in here. Okay, so I'm gonna clear some of this off. We are gonna take a little bit of fresh oregano, just salt and pepper.
And you didn't put the stems in there, right?
No stems. So oregano is a hardy herb. The stems tend to be a little bit on the stronger side, so I would not put those in here. Pinch of salt, but we don't need a whole lot of salt because Parmigiano Reggiano is a salty cheese. And then we're just gonna whisk this all together. To this mixture, we are gonna add, about 2 cups of marinara sauce. You can make your own marinara sauce if there's one that you love at the store. Not adverse to it. This is the basic recipe of Marcella Hazan, which is my basic tomato sauce. We've made it on the show before. You could find the recipe on the Food Network website. So we're gonna put half of this in here.
It matches your tracksuit so well.
See, maybe that's what this tracksuit was all about. We're gonna reserve the rest to warm up to serve with our spaghetti pie. You know what I'm saying?
No sauce left behind.
No sauce left behind. So our pasta should be about ready, and it is.
Do you ever leave the top on the pot while cooking?
No. The only time I put a lid on something if I want it to boil quicker.
Okay.
But you could see that the noodle, it's pretty al dente. We're gonna add this to our sauce, and it's gonna appear to be relatively saucy. But remember, this noodle is gonna continue to cook as it is baking. So it's gonna absorb this sauce and continue to cook as it bakes. We have cheesecake pan, a little bit of olive oil spray. And the reason that we're putting a spray on here is just so things don't stick. You could certainly do this with just butter. So we're just coating the inside. We're going to take our nice al dente pasta and that sauce, and we're going to put it right in our cheesecake pan. Give it a little press down. And now we're gonna top this with fresh mozzarella. Good amount, so it's good and cheesy. And then once that mozzarella goes on, and you could even go with more cheese if you want, we're gonna top it with a little bit of the Parmigiano Reggiano.
Is Parmesan Reggiano the same as just Parmesan?
No. Parmigiano Reggiano is Parmesan from Italy, P-A with the G-I-A-N-O. Parmesan, P-A-R-M-E-S-A-N, is an American version of this cheese.
Oh.
There's good Parmesan in America, but there is nothing like Parmigiano Reggiano. Our grill, if you look down at our grill right now, it's at about 400 degrees. So we're looking for 350 to 400 degrees temp in the grill. And we're gonna use our grill as an oven. You can see we have coals in back. The settings on the airflow are tamped down to about 25%. That's gonna give us that 350 to 400. We're gonna set this off the flame. So the coals are in back. We're gonna put our lid back down. We're gonna let this start to bake till it gets golden brown on top. It's gonna take about 20 to 30 minutes depending on stuff. So use your senses. check it after about 10, see where you are, cheese melts, pasta sets up. Look at it, Liz, look at it.
It's gorgeous.
The spaghetti pie, we let it rest for about 10 minutes, kind of like you would with the lasagna.
It just helps it set up a little, right?
Yep, I just went around the edge to make sure that we're gonna get a nice clean release.
Wow. Look at it.
I mean, come on.
Birthday cake.
You could put a candle in this.
Absolutely.
And then we're just gonna cut it up.
Oh, look at it. It just holds really
Well,
nicely.
yeah, I put some eggs and ricotta in there, so
it's a binder.
has a
What
little bit of
delicious
a binder. Yeah. I have a little bit of fresh basil from the garden, some Parmesan, some olive oil. So I'm just gonna do a little
bring a plate
piece
up here.
of the cheese. Look at it.
Look at that. That is a work of art.
And then we're gonna top this with some of that warmed up marinara right on top. A little bit of fresh basil and some Parmesan cheese. And then we have this grilled radicchio with that creamy dressing. Little bit of extra virgin oil. Come on, Sunday supper. All right.
Gorgeous.
Let's do it. What do you want to try first?
I'm gonna go right for the birthday cake.
Birthday cake, then salad.
It's really good. The sauce is perfect. It's delicate. Even though this looks like it would be heavy, this is way lighter than like a lasagna.
Cheesy, are you gonna make my dreams come
I
true?
am going to make your dreams come true for this particular day. I don't know what your dreams are tomorrow, but today's your lucky day. I'm making Hachi Parmentier. Doesn't it sound like something?
What does it mean?
It sounds mysterious, right?
Yeah, what does it mean?
Parmentier, Alex, why don't you give the Parmentier history? I'll give the Hachi.
Auguste Parmentier discovered the potato. Hachi, chopped or ground
like
meat,
hash.
and it's like a cottage pie.
I only made
Gourmet.
this, learned this, and made this in kitchens when you were the person that had to do staff meal. What does that
Totally.
mean? Like every day, someone, and usually it's someone who has some dexterity in the kitchen. They don't give it to everybody, but there's probably 5 or 6 people that do staff meal. What does that mean? Like if you're Monday, you're doing it Monday. So on Saturday, you're gonna plan what you're gonna do for the staff. And usually it's, you go into the walk-ins and you get all the scraps. You're not buying anything. That key is
Perfect hash.
you can't buy anything. All right, so what do we have here? First of all, we have a cast iron pan, which I love to use simply because it's a one-pan plan. When it goes on the table on a trivet, it stays warm the entire time. This must be warm to hot all the time. This is a leftover-ish kind of dish, but I'm changing it just because I know Iris. This is for Iris, actually. Wow.
Everything in my world is for Iris, let's
we
be
can't get
honest.
Iris to eat vegetables, so I said it happens, but this is a good way. So in this, I have carrots, onions, celery. I put some parsnip because it's sweet.
Ooh, yeah.
And I'm just sauteing this, really get it soft. And Sonny, you're gonna do the potato. You're on the Parmentier side.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
potatoes.
Oh, I love potatoes.
This is
okay. So
one of
are we
my-
gonna do this first, or
Yes,
do you need
so
your parsley first?
Here we have the cooked potatoes,
Yeah.
very, very soft. Nothing worse than an undercooked potato. You cannot cook it medium rare and then cook it medium well. Once it's not cooked, it stays
over.
not cooked. Okay, she's gonna do this in the
Yeah, I'm gonna
food
run
mill.
'em.
One of my favorite tools. I think this is one of those tools that it's so old it's new. When you do tomato or puree of something, it really gets all the essence out without emulsifying it. If you put it in a blender, it's a different mouthfeel. I love this. So you're gonna get those in there hot. They're gonna stay warm, and you're gonna
Steaming.
chop some parsley.
Yes, chef.
Over to my beautiful veggies here. I have some dried thyme, some fresh thyme,
If you don't have this, you can use a ricer too. I use a
Of
ricer
course.
sometimes at home.
but don't put it in a food
No,
processor.
don't do
'cause
that.
you have
Like
rubber.
wallpaper glue.
Yeah. And some tomato paste.
So you use dried thyme and fresh thyme?
Yeah, I mean.
Double time.
Double time. I like that, bro.
You put garlic in there too, I saw,
I did.
Jeff?
A good amount of garlic. And I usually, if I was making this a staff meal, I would put everything dried because the key is not to spend money. So this is a dish of leftovers, and it's seriously leftovers, right? Okay, to this, we're gonna add our beef. This is, you know what this is, Jeff?
Chuck, baby, Chuck.
It's chuck.
It smells so
There's
good
not enough
right
white
now.
dots in there. It feels like a 1585
Yeah, it does. Maybe
situation.
even a 1090.
I don't know if that's Chuck.
That's chuck. So how do you do this? I use another little tool.
Potato masher.
Yes.
All the potato tool.
You know how you're making sausage and you're gonna brown the sausage for the orecchiette with broccoli rabe? You take it out of the skin. It's not cooperating because it's big nuggets. This is what I use.
You know, it's like we all make shepherd's pie, cottage pie. It's time for the Hachis Parmentier to have its moment.
I think it is. I think you brought it to the surface.
All right, so you see, it's not. This is a critical part. You've got to get color here. You got to get the water out of the meat, and you got to get the flavor of everything. Now, I haven't put any salt in. Why is that, Jeff?
Because you don't like salt anymore because of your heart condition.
Because the beef won't brown as much if you put the salt in
the
first.
moisture comes out.
Just like mushrooms, right? You got to make sure that you have some caramelization there. The water's out, and once you see it starting and it's caramelizing, then at the very end, there's no reason to salt right now, other than if you really wanted to salt onions to get the onion flavor out, to get that onion juice. That's okay. But this beef here is going to boil first, and then it's going to fry. So when you see steam, this isn't smoke. This is steam. When you see that, you know it's nowhere near ready yet. We're going to add the red wine. Now, she's saying, well, I can't serve that to Ira. She's 3.
No, you cook it off.
Cook it out.
Cooks off. At this point, we're going to have a little salt and pepper, not too much. We're going to continue simmering this down until it gets just dry enough. So, potato time. Are you ready?
Yes.
Hot potato.
Hot potato.
A little bit of butter.
All of it?
What?
2 sticks?
Yeah.
2 sticks?
Double sticks?
Fold it in.
And I see more fat
Katie, you
over
work
there,
out.
too.
It's okay.
Yeah, fold it in and salt and pepper. Now,
Yeah.
the milk is on the side. It's warm. Must be warm. But do not, mistake is always putting milk in first is a mistake.
You want me to
wanna-
everything at once?
No, you want to fold the butter in first and then everything else.
Okay.
You gotta melt that butter.
Yes, you do. If not, you will have a kind of a mess. You'll see in a minute. So I'm not going to put too much in unless I really need to, but I am going to add a few more ingredients you might think that are a bit odd.
It's good that you're holding back.
I am holding back.
I'm really proud of you.
I'm holding back. And I'm going to put into this sour cream, a couple of egg yolks. Can I have
There you
that
go.
fork?
Just the yolks, right? You don't
Just
want
the yolks.
So the yolks will give it a nice color.
And flavor and mouthfeel.
By the way, sour cream mixed with egg yolks is actually called a liaison.
A liaison.
Oh. Yeah.
So really important. You see what is critical. The butter's melted. How about some parsley? Why not? Lots of it.
Like
How about some Parmesan
dangerous
cheese?
liaison.
Pretty darn good.
Parmesan cheese.
Yeah,
Throw it in.
We're gonna save a little for something else, a little something at the end. Now, what do I have here? My meat into this red wine vinegar. It's really important to have a little acid in the Hachis Parmentier because this is a rich dish. Now, are we ready for the combination?
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been waiting. Wow.
Okay, so I have a little game. A variety of forms of cottage pies exist around the world.
Yes.
Right.
So you are going to identify the country of origin for the specific dish I'm giving you.
Ooh, this
all
is-
Hachis and their cousins.
Okay.
Hachis cousins.
So
this is fun.
shepherd's pie originates in what country?
England.
England.
I don't know.
Great
Scotland.
Britain.
Ireland,
Britannia.
right?
Britannia.
I say England.
And the answer is Ireland.
Oh.
Like that makes it potatoes. Gotta have them spuds.
That's the Hashi queen over here. This dish runs deep. Okay, cottage pie.
England.
England?
Scotland.
Scotland?
Cottage. England.
England?
I'll rock Scotland with you.
The answer is England.
Hey, Jeffers.
I'm a Hachi 2 for 2.
Okay, an empadome.
Empedome.
Ooh,
Oh, that's gotta be
Don't, like spell it.
Mexico.
China.
Philippines.
Can I change my answer to
Thailand.
Ecuador? Argentina.
Let's hear it, Alex.
Let's
Come
hear
on.
it.
Portugal.
Oh, of course, Portugal.
like
That was
that.
my third
Okay,
one.
I like
I said that
Makes sense.
Tuesday. Okay, you see our potato?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put some melted butter on top.
Of course you are.
Oh. This is a low-calorie dish.
And I'm gonna sprinkle just a bit of Parmesan cheese.
Sure.
Do it.
Well, the egg yolk, I mean, here you're really using the egg yolk so to bind the potatoes and then make them more golden brown.
Are you ready? Iris is
I'm
hungry.
ready.
Into a 375-degree oven. It's gotta be at least 40 minutes, 45 minutes. And then in this cast iron thing, it is gonna stay hot.
It's gonna be
Okay?
bubbly.
Oh my goodness. Okay, what do we have here?
I'm already thinking, Geoffrey, for Iris, I might have to leave that parsley out because
Ooh, she will.
it'll be some serious investigation.
Wow.
Come on now. Hashi Pami, whatever.
Hashi Parmentier.
There you go, Chef.
Hey. Oh.
This is gorgeous.
Cheese.
You done with Hashi P?
This is a great meal.
You know me.
I was gonna say, this is like a dinner party worthy meal.
I
You
think-
could put that out with a green salad and some
Sunday.
crusty bread, and
Sunday.
everybody'd be thrilled.
Frisee salad on Sunday?
Oh, yeah.
Sign the pain.
And a great bottle of red wine.
You know what?
Okay.
Dare I say, this would be good for like game day stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good
Great.
crowd
Make it
pleaser.
ahead.
Come on now.
That's the mountain climber version
Oh
there.
my heavens,
Yeah.
look at that.
There it
That
is.
is.
C'est magnifique.
Oh, right on top
okay,
there. How you
GZ.
doing?
Keep
Right
it
on
topper.
top.
Well, that's how you do family meal. You
This
just
is family meal.
Load
It's
it up.
no garnishing cuteness for the front of house. We just trying to get it in.
I want some of the like crusty bite of potato on top.
It's like when you got the Michelin judges coming, and this is what you want to serve your crew.
You know,
They're going to be either that or
energized and ready to go.
Wow.
Jeffrey, you've got like some
space
short
in it.
order diner cook vibes right now.
Threw it out there, GZ.
Look at that.
What's going on?
Wow.
You're more
Obviously, you need a
Wow.
red wine.
I love the sweetness from the parsnips.
I hope your daughter loves this.
Oh, even if she doesn't, I'm having this just for me.
But it's a good story to tell her.
Yes,
She
exactly.
can understand.
Someday she will really
She'll watch
appreciate this. She
she'll
will
watch
watch
the episode.
this and know that her Uncle GZ
Uncle
was
GZ.
looking out for her. Hopefully that's a time when she's eating everything.
Trust me, with you in restaurants, she's going to be eating everything.
It is so good. This dish is just so comforting.
So good.
I
Glad
love
you
it.
like it.
GZ, I need a hug.
Bring us together.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy I could help feed
Jeffrey.
people.
Jeff, Mauro, and I today are gonna rock some potato tots, okay? I'm gonna show
Corn
you,
tot. Corn
you,
tot.
and you how to make a potato tot pie.
Yum.
Yeah, we're gonna put it in the oven. We're gonna load it up, put it in. This is kind of a play on my mom's cottage or shepherd's pie growing up, but instead of mashed potatoes over the top, we're gonna put potato tots. So in my pan here, I've already got 1.5 pounds of ground beef, a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, some Worcestershire sauce, some Hungarian paprika, and to that I'm gonna add in a little bit of beef stock.
Oh my God. I love the sear you got on that.
Yeah.
On that,
Nice and
ground
brown.
beef. I love it.
Yeah,
Salt flavor.
don't be afraid to go brown. Brown is flavor, all right? A little bit of tomato paste. You're gonna cook that down until it gets a nice deep red color. Okay, so now when that's done, I get that into a pan or a bowl here, sorry.
How could that get better? I don't know,
Hello,
Sonny.
potato tots, Jeff.
Tot time.
Okay, so in here, same pan, add a little bit more oil if you need it. And this is my mom's addition to her pie. Instead of like the peas that you would normally have over the top, it's a little bit of zucchini, some red bell pepper, onion, and shredded carrot.
So it's healthy.
So, yeah, a
Yeah,
little
you've got
bit, yeah,
other
well.
vegetables in there.
Yeah, you got your vitamin T.
Yeah.
For tot.
Vitamin C. So then you're gonna season a little bit, salt and pepper so it can sweat out. A little bit of that coarse grind pepper. You're gonna cook it down until it looks like this. About 8 minutes for the beef, 8 minutes for the vegetables, and then you can start layering up. So I'm gonna show you how to layer up right now.
Cool.
Okay, first things first.
Sure, there's a
Down
particular
in
order for this,
our
right?
casserole dish. Yes.
Oh, meat first.
Meat first.
Controversial.
About half of it, it's very controversial. About half of the meat goes down. Just kind of spread it out a little bit here, creating layers. And then over the top of that, I've got some Havarti cheese.
Ooh, creamy.
All right?
Nutty.
Love
It's
Havarti.
shredded, a little bit of that goes, a little bit of that.
Underappreciated cheese.
I agree.
It
I use it on a lot
is.
of my
It's a
sandwiches.
great melting cheese as well.
Yeah.
Get a little block at the grocery store and taste it. If you try it, you might like it. All right? Then over the top of that,
So good.
It's great.
the rest of the beef.
All right.
All right? Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle.
Beef and cheese, I like it already.
Hello.
All you need.
I think of the cheese as kind of like the spackle, you know, because we haven't put anything in here to really bind it up but the cheese.
The veggies there to
then-
make you not feel so bad when
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Oh, I got some vegetables.
But it's
in there.
beautiful color.
This is a good way to get the kids to eat their veggies.
It is. It's
Hey, right.
colorful, and everyone's been saying now just eat colorfully, and it's going to be healthy. So eat your colors. All right. Then over the top of that, the rest of the Havarti cheese.
Oh.
Sprinkle, sprinkle.
Did you all know that Americans eat 70 million pounds of potato tots a year?
Oh,
A potato
That's
top?
amazing.
70
Well, it's a surprise.
million.
There's 2 pounds in this casserole right here alone. So make sure you get a 32-ounce bag of tots. You're gonna fry them up just like directed on the packaging. Keep on lining them up like little soldiers. And then I've got my oven at 375 degrees. What you're gonna do is put it in about 20, 25 minutes. You ready for this?
I don't know if I'm ready.
I don't think you can handle this.
I don't think so. I think for once I've been, I've been stumped.
Now what I like to do sometimes before I put it in is a little sprinkle of Hungarian paprika, but there you have it. Potato tots. go. Jeff, you got a spoon for me?
Of course, Sonny. Let me grab it for you.
You sound so planned. All right, let me cut this up. Who wants some of this potato top pie?
That's got GZ written all over it.
All right.
Here, GZ.
Can you help me out with this one?
Look at that
Holy
cheese.
cow.
Double back.
That is bonkers.
You know, it's not that much starch in this, so this isn't that bad.
No, not at all. No, not at all. I hope it's warming and comforting because it's something from my youth, just a little bit of a fix.
You know what? Sonny, this is A-okay in my book. I tell you.
Pizza pot pie. I got my sauce going here, starting with a stick of good pepperoni. You take the casing off and you cut into these fun little cubes and you render it for about 10 minutes. And now we can kind of make sure our heat's on medium because we're gonna put in some dried Italian seasoning. I like the Italian seasoning because it's got everything in one. A couple cloves of garlic that are minced. And as always, once you put your garlic in your sauce, have your liquid on hand. And in this case, we got some crushed tomatoes, the good kinds. And once you start smelling that garlic, let it go for about 10 seconds. We don't want to over toast it. Pepperoni, red sauce.
Ooh.
And that is the making of a true great, quick and easy pepperoni red sauce, pepperoni pizza sauce. Hit it with a little salt, some pepper, and let this guy simmer. We're gonna cook this for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes or so. Let it all come together nicely. And then the next step is to properly cool it down. You got your oven set at 350. Now let's build this, right? These are heat-safe, oven-safe ceramic bowls. You can get them online. They got a nice little lip. So we got 2 of these. And what I'm gonna do is just give it a little quick spray with some nonstick cooking spray. And now we can start layering. Let's start with the cheese. I'm using good mozzarella, whole milk if you can find it. And we're gonna shingle these on 6 slices per bowl with kind of making sure it lands in the middle there, overlaps with each sheet, and all that cheese is going to melt in there and have this beautiful dome effect when we turn it out. So keep going just like that. Next, this is a great trick they do there at the joint in Chicago. And they use whole button mushrooms. I'm using these baby bellas, which are a little darker. And this is gonna help kind of bolster up the rest of the ingredients so it doesn't fall flat in the oven. So 3, 4 of these, and they fit in just like that. Beautiful, delicious, earthy, that you can get a nice chew out of. You know, a nice little fork and knife bite out of. Lovely. And now we got that cooled pepperoni red sauce with those chunks of rendered crispy pepperoni in. And look at, again, we use the cooled sauce.
Oh,
so we can kind of lay up nicely on there. And now we got a pound of dough that we quartered. So this can make, a pound of dough can potentially, depending on the size of your bowl, make 4 of these bowls. And then we can lay it right on top, just like that. Super easy. You don't have to make it a, you know, perfect circle or whatever. And now take a little oil or nonstick. You can spray your finger with it and just take your finger and slide it around the edge of this bowl. So when we do take this off, it slides right out. No need to bend this or dock it or poke holes in it because we want to keep it all contained. We got one more here. Store-bought pizza dough. I got some good recipes you can check out. I have several. You can use just my thin crust recipe or any recipe you find on the Food Network Kitchen app. And look at how easy that is. Just like that. I like to bake these on a sheet pan. Just in case, right? You don't want to put these directly on your oven grates. For obvious reasons, in case you get a little drippage. Oven is set at 350. These are gonna cook for about 15 minutes, and I got some ready to go here. Ooh. Perfect timing. You see that? Get up in there. You're excited. I know, Sarah. She likes to pretend she wants an arugula salad right now, but her taste buds are saying pepperoni pizza pie. So what you want to do is let this cool, obviously. Oh, man. Be careful. Get a little serving utensil. I like to serve these in individual little bowls, right? Some melted butter we have, a little brush, and I'm going to let that get all shiny.
Oh my God, it's so intoxicating.
You just turn it over like that. And now you're like, what are we going to do next? So now you can take the end of your fork, 360, boom. Oh my God, it's coming out already. You ready?
I'm ready.
Oh
my God.
My gosh. Now comes the point where we can really make or break this, and that is on a proper cheese pull. Let me get it close here. Oh man, I'm going to the light. That's why we use 6 slices of good old whole milk mozzarella cheese.
It is going to the
Oh, it's
light.
going.
It's going. It's going. It's going past the line. Yes! One thing left to do. Take a bite. The mushroom is so juicy. It's like a whole new pizza mushroom eating experience. It really does remind me of true great Chicago deep dish, right? The chewiness of the cheese, the juiciness of the mushrooms, the crunch of that pepperoni we took the time to kind of render out. And that sauce is so sweet and awesome.
My beef and rutabaga hand pies. I make a dough, add the filling, and then whip up an easy jalapeno ketchup for dunking. To get started on my crust, I'll add 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour to my food processor, so it'll be extra doughy and good. I'll add a teaspoon of sugar and a teaspoon of kosher salt, and those are all my dry ingredients, and I'll pulse to combine. This looks great. I have 12 tablespoons of butter, which is cold and cubed. I also have an egg, and then I'm gonna get 1/2 cup of the coldest water that my tap will give me. To the water, I'm gonna add the egg yolk, and I'm gonna reserve the egg white for my egg wash later on. I'll add 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. I'll stir this up. I'll add the butter directly to my food processor. I'll get my lid on and then pulse until the butter is the size of small peas. And as I pulse, I'm gonna drizzle in the wet ingredients and continue on pulsing until the dough comes together. Oh yeah. This dough is looking great. I'll form my dough into a big log, and that'll help me divide it up into individual portions for the hand pies when I shape them. All right, let me grab my plastic wrap. I'll wrap this up and then stick it in the refrigerator while I make my filling. The filling for these pies is just that, filling. And the best part about it is that you don't have to cook it before adding it to the center. I start with 12 ounces of cubed sirloin steak in my bowl. I'll add a diced russet potato, 1/2 an onion, a few carrots for color and sweetness, and lastly, 1 rutabaga, which is quintessential pasty filling, and it adds loads of earthiness. I'll just peel off the skin and then chop it up. Now I'll season this with salt and pepper, and I'm also gonna add some fresh thyme, which will give these pies some herbiness. I'll strip the leaves right off of the stem and sprinkle these in, and I'll mix my filling all together. My filling is done, I'll grab my dough, and then I'll put the pies together. My dough's had a chance to chill, and now I'll unwrap it and then cut it into 6 pieces. I'll dust my board with my flour so that the dough doesn't stick, and then I'm gonna roll my dough out into an oval that's about 8 inches long by 6 inches wide. Each of these pies is gonna get a cup of filling, which is gonna seem like a lot, but it cooks down in the oven. Next, I'll brush the edges with egg wash, and this will help seal in the filling. I don't want any of this good stuff escaping. And now I'll tuck this filling in. So with one hand, I'm gonna fold the top dough over, and then with my other hand, I'm gonna try to keep the filling all together. I'm gonna roll the outer edge on top of itself. And then to make it pretty, I just like putting in a scalloped edge. I'll add 2 slits in the top for some vents to release the steam, and that's it. Look how cute. It's like a smile. Okay, I'll keep on forming my beef hand pies with the same crimped crust. All tucked in tight, no filling escaping here. I'll finish these off with some egg wash before I stick them in the oven. I'll bake these at 400 degrees for 15 minutes and then reduce the temperature to 350 for another 30 minutes until they're deep golden brown. My beef and rutabaga hand pies are almost ready, and they'd be really good as is, but I'm gonna make a simple jalapeno ketchup for maximum flavor dunkage. I'll just add a cup of ketchup to my bowl, some pickled jalapenos with a splash of brine for heat, a few dashes of Worcestershire sauce, and mix it up. Oh, that's spicy. That's gonna go perfect with the hand pies. And speaking of which, I'm gonna check on them now. Look at this perfect golden brown color, and they smell amazing. I have to taste one. Oh yes. Let me dunk in that ketchup.
I love pie, I like to eat pie, but I more like to make a shepherd's pie. Usually a layer of luscious, delicious lamb stew, and then a nice thick layer of fluffy, creamy mashed potatoes on the top. So good. So I have a little leg of lamb that I've diced up, and I'm gonna brown my lamb like this. And that's where you develop really big, huge, rich flavors. Brown your meat, brown your veg. Brown food tastes good. So while this is browning, I'm gonna start to get my mashed potatoes ready. I have Yukon Gold potatoes. I have cold water. I put my potatoes in, plenty of salt. Because if the water's not salty, the potatoes will absorb water in that tastes like nothing. And guess what? Your potatoes taste like nothing. I'm gonna take this brown food out. Now I have some beautiful crud in the bottom of my pan, and that is a lot of beautiful brown flavor. We wanna make sure we're saving that. So, ditching the oil that's in there, just a few drops of new oil, and then add in a bunch of veggies like leeks, celery, carrots. We're getting all of these flavors to start to come together. You know, it's like the Irish, they like a good party. You know what makes a good party? Some beer. So we're gonna put that in there to help really scrape the crud off the bottom of the pan. And it brings a really nice acidity into the whole thing. I do love shepherd's pie. Toss the lamb back in there, and then some chicken stock or some water and a bay leaf and maybe a little bit of a thyme bundle, and just simmer it until it really like gets loosey-goosey and delicious. Let's check our potatoes. Ah, yeah, those babies are done. Let's make some mashers. You could use a ricer or you could use a potato masher, but the food mill to me like helps create a really light and fluffy potato. It's a workout. Welcome to the gun show. I'm not a cook that cooks with cream and butter, except for mashed potatoes. I do hot cream and cold butter, and you alternate those in and then whip it until it gets really fluffy and delicious. So let's do the assemblage, the marriage of the stew and the potatoes. I'm performing an Irish wedding here. We need to remove the thyme bundle and the bay leaves, and we need to add some peas. You can use a big casserole dish, a layer of lamb stew in the bottom of it, and fluffy mashed potatoes on top. I'm putting this on a sheet tray in case we have any overflows. Put it under the broiler so little nooks and crannies get all crispy and brown and crackly on the top. That's something I would like to dive into head first with my mouth open. I mean, anything that's lamb and a stew and potatoes that you can mush all together, hello, what's not to love there? That's delicious and easy as pie.
Cheesy ham and egg hand pies. You can also call them cheesy ham and egg pockets. You can call them cheesy egg pockets. Cheesy pockets with eggs, ham and eggs. Wait, no, hold on.
Eggs, ham, and eggs.
Cheesy pockets with eggs, ham, and cheese. It really doesn't matter what you call it. All that matters is you've got to make these. It's so great. Perfect for spring. So I've got some butter in a skillet, and I'm just adding scrambled eggs, whipped eggs, with some salt and pepper. And then I have a bunch of chopped chives, which is a very springy ingredient. I'm just gonna stir the eggs and cook them slowly over medium heat until they're scrambled. Don't leave me. It'll go by really fast. These look good. Some eggs look better than others, you know?
Yeah, I agree. Those look really good.
And just like that, the eggs are scrambled. They look glorious. I was noticing when they were scrambling just how beautiful and fluffy they look. There's something about scrambled eggs with chives that, weakness of mine, I just love them. So I'm putting them into a bowl so that they will quickly cool down. These are great little just pockets that you can bake and serve for breakfast. You can serve them for lunch with a little side salad. And then I'm gonna add some ham. I didn't want to add the ham to the skillet because I didn't want to contribute to everything being hot, 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 and the ham is already cooked. So the ham's going to kind of help cool things down so that I can add the cheese, because these are cheesy ham and egg hand pies, as I said a few minutes ago, right? So I've got grated cheddar and mozzarella cheese. And then I'll just toss, and by now the eggs are kind of cool enough that it's not going to turn the cheese into a melty, stringy mess. Give me a spoon and leave me alone.
I could just eat this.
Honestly. Whoever invented eggs with cheese is a gosh darn genius. Okay, so now I'm going to make the pockets. So I'm using puff pastry. And I thawed out 2 sheets and then cut them into 12 squares of equal size. And I'm gonna get a spoon, get a big scoop of the egg mixture. Pretty generous, because I mean, if you're gonna grab a cheesy ham and egg hand pie, you definitely wanna have the cheese, ham, and eggs inside. You don't wanna miss them. So then I have a little bit of an egg wash, just egg and water. And I'm gonna brush the rim pretty generously, because this acts as sort of a glue. Okay, then a second square. Actually, this isn't a square, it's a rectangle. And when you put it on, you kind of want to stretch it just a little bit to make sure that it's going to meet the edges. You want to look at this up close, Alex? So you can meet the edges of the pastry and just meet them up. Press them together, kind of force out any air bubbles that are forming in the center. Make sure it's not filled with a big air bubble. And then take a fork and press all along the edge just to crimp everything together. Okay, so that is one cute little pocket or hand pie. I'm gonna put this on the tray and do 5 more just like it. All right, I got them all assembled, and I sort of misjudged the amount to put in the first few. We have some eggs to eat as a snack, Alex. I'm sure you don't mind that at all.
Sign me up.
I love these. So I'm brushing the egg wash all over the surface, and that's gonna help them get kind of glossy and stay pretty when they bake. Now you can actually assemble these like they are now and then freeze them just like this. Flash freeze them in the freezer for a few minutes until they're kind of hard, and then you can just store them in plastic bags and bake them from a frozen state. Now that is some really good planning if you can pull that off. Okay, so then just to give them a little bit of decoration and crunch on top, I'm gonna sprinkle on some poppy seeds, and that egg wash will just really help them stick. You can also sprinkle a little bit of grated cheese on top instead of the poppy seeds, and they'd sort of like little shards of cheese will bake right on the surface. Okay, let's go put these in the oven. 400 degrees, 20 minutes. And then we are gonna eat them. I'm hungry. All right, it's been 20 minutes and 13 seconds. So look at these, Alex.
Oh, wow.
I can't move, I can't speak.
Wow. Those look amazing.
Oh, they look so good, don't they? I have to put them on a platter, even though it's just you and me, Alex. So let's take a look. How do they look?
They look amazing. They're so fluffy.
Oh, wow, gorgeous. I think we should cut into one, don't you?
Yes.
I am so ready for this. Get in here, Alex. You have to see the details.
Yum.
Oh, they look so perfect. Look.
So good.
That pastry. Okay, you want to share one?
Yes.
Here you go. Okay. I think I should just go in and report my findings. Happy spring.
Those are really good.
Breakfast or lunch? The answer is yes.
Very simple, humble ingredients. Potatoes, some milk, some sour cream, butter, and eggs. She is ricing potatoes. The secret to this is they must be warm. Cooking them completely in salted water from cold. There's nothing worse than an undercooked potato.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
Unless you're gonna fry them again, you gotta really do it this way. And this is a ricer. This is a fantastic machine. It lets the potato get to a state where you can mash it without getting gummy.
Exactly.
And that's the biggest problem. So to that, she's gonna add warm milk, sour cream, warm butter. This is not clarified butter, just regular melted butter, a good amount of salt and pepper, and 2 egg yolks. And these are gonna be added at the end so they don't cook. And we're just gonna get them all in, whipped together.
All right.
Okay, and these are just 2
got
egg
it,
yolks.
Chef.
You got it?
Got it.
Okay, so right here I have some onions in a casserole with rosemary. You can add garlic if you want. I just like the onions. And I'm gonna get them almost to the point where they're like kind of crusty. Okay, and then I'm gonna add ground lamb. We eat a lot of lamb in my household growing up. Back then it was really inexpensive.
It was.
So this is just ground lamb. You can use beef, you can use turkey, you can use whatever you want. Like I said, it's a casserole. What does that mean? It's a leftover.
That's right.
So go for it. And we have potatoes that will make anybody happy. A little salt and pepper, let it go, caramelize, and this is what it looks like after about 4 or 5 minutes. It's all nice and brown here, okay? And to that, we're gonna add a little bit of flour, just to thicken it a touch, some tomato paste, and a little bit of sherry wine vinegar.
Was this like something when you knew your mom was making shepherd's pie, you were excited to sit down at the table? Or was this like something, a shepherd's pie again?
No,
I can't wait to
well,
elevate it.
she would make a lot of these. She would make a lot of casseroles, and it's not necessarily shepherd's pie. It's like anything in a casserole, this methodology. So it could be potato with cabbage. She would make it with meatless. I didn't even know it was meatless.
A casserole is so comforting.
Oh, it's so comforting.
Isn't it? It does take you right back to your childhood. Anything mashed potato.
Okay, how you doing over there, son?
Really good. I aggressively salted it. Did you want pepper in this at all?
Yes. Okay. And to this, we're gonna add some pearl onions. Kind of fancy. You don't have to add pearl onions. I love onions.
You can get the frozen kind.
You can get the
That's so
frozen
easy.
kind. Some carrots and peas. You can add whatever you have again.
So you cooked those pearl onions before you put them in?
Yes.
Got a little color
Yes,
on them?
you don't have to, but I just did. Some parsley. A good amount of parsley. Really important.
You guys know the difference between shepherd's pie and cottage pie?
It's the meat.
What does shepherd's pie always have?
Lamb.
And what does cottage pie have?
Beef.
Beef.
Yes, exactly.
So if you can take a look at this, you see we have, I mean, you know it's gonna be good, right? You have the little vinegar, the tomato, the flour's gone, basically. It's gonna do its job in about 2 seconds when I add some stock. You can add water, chicken stock, beef stock, vegetable stock, anything just like that. And then the magic. Sonny's gonna give us we're gonna put this right on top. I'm gonna bring this over here, Sonny, and we're gonna.
Yeah.
Oh, I like it. You don't even have to get a casserole dish out.
Here.
You trust me?
I trust you.
Oh my God.
My
Hold
sous
on.
chef. You gotta
Let
trust
me
your
do
sous
one more
chef.
taste. You do.
Otherwise,
but-
you're gonna be in the kitchen all day long yourself.
Yeah, it's perfectly.
Okay. Put the entirety of that on top. When I mean entirety, this will serve 10 people.
Great ratio.
Jeffrey, let me ask you,
Yes.
this is your childhood favorite. Is it becoming your children's childhood favorite?
Unfortunately, they don't get things so homey. They do get homey stuff, but I haven't actually made this for them yet. But now I'm going to.
Keep the tradition going.
This is just beautiful. Sonny's just, look at Sonny.
Well, I mean, it's meat and potatoes.
It is
GZ.
meat and potatoes.
I'm in my happy place, you
All
know
right,
what
you
I'm
ready
saying?
to get really happy?
Are you gonna do your thing?
I'm gonna do my thing.
Oh,
I think I see what's coming.
Melted butter.
Oh,
Oh,
that is good.
yeah.
I know.
I got you hills and valleys. Should I have leveled it off better?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Wow.
Hills and valleys and Parmesan cheese.
Okay.
Or any other cheese you have grated in the box. Doesn't really matter.
American?
Not American. Okay? Could you open the oven for me?
Yeah, I got you.
No, that'd be good, though.
375.
I'm starting to think about
Bottom
it.
oven,
On
please.
mashed potatoes?
375
How?
for at least 40 minutes.
Okay, gonna get all nice and brown and
take that one
crusty
home.
over there.
Here we go. Oh, look at that. Can you
Oh,
see that?
stop it.
Oh, look at
Wow.
that.
Wow. Right here. We sat in the right place.
Okay, you have hills and valleys in that too.
Yeah, well, you know, it's just painted kind of. Isn't that beautiful?
It is gorgeous.
Look at that guy right there. That's like
Yes.
McKinley. That's K2.
Oh my gosh, look at that. That is gorgeous.
So that's what it should look like. A little parsley
Gorgeous.
for you.
Oh,
And carrots always
for
reminds
moi?
me of childhood.
Oh, man, I'm making this.
And the great thing is that the potato is fortified with those eggs. So extra little, you know, something.
GZ, only you could make a humble shepherd's pie. Tastes like $1 million.
I've got 3 big chicken breasts, and I'm gonna cook them in chicken broth, just boil them until they're done. These are bone-in, so they're gonna be extra flavorful as they cook. And I've got 3 chicken thighs. These are gonna cook up just great, and I'm gonna make a chicken pie out of them. Great mix of white meat and dark meat. It's gonna take this chicken about 45 minutes to an hour to cook all the way through. Who doesn't love chicken pie? I swear I've never met a single person who doesn't love it. I'm gonna turn all of that boiled chicken into a perfect chicken pie. I've been chopping up some veggies for the pie, and I'll get them into a skillet with some butter, starting with celery. I've also got some onion and some carrots, and I added a little something to this one that I don't normally use, and that's parsnips. I diced everything really fine because the kids don't really like huge chunks of veggies. I'll take veggies any way I can get them. I need to season the veggies with some salt and pepper. Sprinkle some in. I just need to stir these veggies around for about 3 minutes. The filling for the chicken pie needs to be really thick, so I'm gonna sprinkle in some flour, about 1/3 cup or so, and I'll stir it around and cook it for just a minute or so. I'm changing this chicken pie up from my normal one. I usually use a regular pie pastry whenever I make chicken pie. This time I'm taking a little bit of a shortcut and I'm gonna top the pie with a sheet of puff pastry. It's looking really good. So now the liquid needs to go into the pan. And by liquid, I mean white wine for starters. I'll pour in about 1/2 cup or so. The flavor of white wine in chicken pie is so divine. It's really subtle, there's not too much in there. Looks really good. So I'm gonna pour in chicken broth. It looks like a lot, but it's gonna thicken up. Some fresh thyme leaves, so as the sauce thickens, it'll take on that yummy thyme flavor. One more veggie right out of the freezer. Got a bag of frozen green beans, and I'm just gonna put them in their frozen state. I usually use frozen peas when I make chicken pot pie, but green beans are a nice change. Now I'm gonna grab some turmeric. I'm adding this for color more than anything else. It does add some nice flavor. It's really golden, and a little goes a long, long way. You don't want to over turmeric anything because you'll wind up with a bright yellow dish. If you just add a little bit, it adds a nice golden tinge, and it just makes whatever you're cooking look that much more delicious. And it worked. I want to dive into this and eat it right now. But I've got one more ingredient to add, and it's probably the most decadent ingredient known to man, heavy cream. Not a lot, just a little. It just does something to this filling. It makes it a little bit thicker, definitely more creamy, definitely more rich. The only thing it needs is the chicken. I'll drop all of this shredded chicken in, and I am really, really stuffing it in there. I like a super meaty chicken pie. And I'll fold it into the sauce. Honestly, you don't even need the crust with this. I could just serve this up in a bowl, call it chicken stew. That filling is perfect. I'm gonna be really careful and go slow. While I do this, let me tell you how I'm gonna finish it up and serve it up tomorrow. An hour before dinner, I'll pull the pie out of the fridge, brush the rim of the dish with an egg wash, put a sheet of thawed puffed pastry on top, press down the edges of the pastry so it sticks to the sides, then egg wash the top too. Then I cook it for an hour at 375, and everyone in my household is gonna fight over that first big spoonful. Look at that crispy pastry on top. And all it needs on the side is a great green salad.
So let's get it started with the shrimp pot pie that we're gonna put in those bowls that you can eat. What's better than a bowl you can eat? And you know what, I'm not lying, I really did move to New Orleans after having one amazing meal. I visited there when I was in the Air Force, doing a little story on some boxing, some guys in the military, and went out for dinner. And I said, oh my gosh, I gotta figure out a way to get back to the city. First stop as soon as I got out of the military, man. All right, so this is this egg wash, a little bit of water. We're gonna brush the top of our pastry puff bowls. And it's gonna make it nice and golden brown when we cook them. So that's ready. Now I'm gonna start building the bowls. All right, a little bit of flour out here on my surface. And I'm gonna do this with puff pastry. Puff pastry, so easy, freezer section, and it's always in my freezer for a quick meal any night of the week. Just drop something on top of it, put in the oven for about 20 minutes. It's ready to go. So I'm just gonna dock this. And the reason I'm doing this with the fork is it's gonna put some air pockets in there. So when I put this in the oven and things start to rise, because that's what puff pastry is all about, the bottom's not gonna rise. We want that to stay in the bottom to hold everything that's gonna fill up the pot pie. All right, so that's ready to go. Docked it completely. I've got a 4-inch ring, and with one sheet, put a little weight on it. Don't turn it too much, because you don't wanna mess with the rising action. All right, it's not gonna rise too much, but it is gonna puff a little. We've got 4 bases we're gonna make out of one sheet. All right, and then I'm gonna show you how to put the rest of it together. This is really cute. I kind of just came up with this after going to a couple of places and getting edible bowls. I said, I gotta work this into my kitchen. So I'm gonna put the bases on a cookie sheet. It's non-stick, but don't worry about it because puff pastry is all about butter. Got its own little lubrication going on. Put this to the side, and then we're gonna build the sides of the bowl. All right, so you need 3 more sheets, and in between each layer, we're gonna just brush it, right, with a little bit of egg wash. That's gonna help it stick. All right, so a little bit of egg wash here. Remember, just a little egg and water. Also helps with the golden thing. Pull this out. A little tip, if you're in a hurry and you're trying to thaw out your puff pastry, thaw it out on a metal surface. It's a lot faster than just putting it on the countertop. All right, so that's that second layer. A little bit of egg wash on that to hold it together. We're almost done. Let me tell you, I always preach the whole thing of a little bit of effort in the beginning. It's gonna pay off tenfold in the end. All right, so that's beautiful. We've got 3 layers, egg wash in between. We're gonna start with the 4-inch ring, all right? Gonna pull that out and then go in the center with the 3-inch ring. And what we're gonna have left over is the sides and the top for 1. So pull that off. We're gonna egg wash the bottom. This is the base. All right, just place it right on top. Give it a little brush right there. That's gonna rise really nice in the oven. And then this is the lid. There we go. I got this one done. I'm gonna work on the other 3. Then I'm gonna put them in the oven. It's gonna be so amazing. The bowls and the lids built. Gonna pop it in the oven, about 400 degrees for 20 minutes. That's what I'm telling you about puff pastry, man. It's a quick meal. All right, so now while those rise, we're gonna build the filling for our lovely shrimp pot pie. Let me open this up and get the shrimp on in a second. Turn the heat up. This is so simple, 1 pan assembly. All right, so we've got the olive oil, a little bit of butter. Oh, I love shrimp. As an adult, let me tell you, growing up, when my parents wanted to go to a seafood restaurant, it was all about me getting the burger that was on the menu. Then I moved to New Orleans and it's been shrimp since then. Really, I just love all the great ways they work shrimp into the menu in New Orleans. Okay, don't want to go too high with that butter, get it burnt. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna just put these, I opened that up already, we're gonna drop these right into the pan. This is so simple. I'm not even gonna season them anywhere else but the pan. So drop them in, all right? A little bit of cayenne pepper, that's what's gonna make it feel like it's Cajun style. They love their fiery spices down there. And then a little bit of salt. All right, I'm gonna cook these, but not too long, about 2 minutes on each side, because when we put them in the filling, they're gonna continue to cook, and you don't wanna overdo your shrimp. So this is the same pan we did the shrimp in. Oil, butter, it's perfect, because you're not gonna have to clean up a lot. Put that in there. I'm gonna add some fresh thyme. I like to add this early in the process, because this is such a quick dish, so all the flavors can distribute. All right, couple of sprigs in there. Work it around, and I'm gonna get started on the French toast while that is getting nice and tender for us. Oh, the puff pastry is looking like it's ready to come out. So I'm gonna pull this out. Puff pastry bowls ready to eat with our shrimp pot pie. So easy to make. Puff pastry, you cut some circles out, put in the oven 20 minutes later. You've got the best cradle for the best shrimp pot pie. It's gonna taste so good. All right, so we're gonna hook up some white wine in this white wine sauce, of course. You know, not to cook with white wine that you'd never drink. Just add a little bit, because we're gonna reduce it down, and what's gonna be left is just the lovely flavors of the wine. So good and fruity. All right, so I'm gonna work this out real quick. In there pretty good. All right, we added the wine. We don't see it anymore, but let me tell you, you're gonna taste the flavors of it. So amazing. Add a little bit of heavy cream. Oh, come on, this is gonna be an amazing base for your shrimp pot pie. Let me get that sprig of thyme right there. Just pull it right out. Oh man, this is gonna be so good. All right, so I'm gonna let that sit on the stove for a minute, about medium. It's gonna start to thicken up just a little bit. The filling for our shrimp pot pie is nice and bubbly. We're gonna add the shrimp. Remember, didn't completely cook them earlier because they're gonna continue to cook a little bit here in our filling. Nice and creamy, gonna work that in. I'm gonna hit it with a little bit of white pepper. I play by the rules. White sauce, white pepper. All right, not bad. That's gonna be so amazing. All right, so where do I start eating? How about a pot pie first? Now remember, these are edible bowls, puff pastry, very simple to put together, about 20 minutes in the oven. We've got our shrimp pot pie filling bubbling over here, the cayenne pepper on the shrimp, the cream. Oh, this is gonna be so good. Don't be greedy, leave some shrimp for everybody else. All right, let me give this a taste. You know what, I want a spoon for this. Oh, man. So creamy. I'm gonna taste the shrimp really quick before I move on to dessert. Perfectly cooked. Trust me, when you saute them early, don't overdo it. Don't want to overcook your shrimp.
I'm just gonna roll out the dough. We'll cut it in fourths. Now, if you don't even have time to do the dough, what you can do is get some frozen puff pastry and defrost it in the refrigerator and use that instead. It's light, it's wonderful, and it's really easy. So I'm just gonna roll each one of these out into a roll, maybe about an 8-inch round. Flour everything, including yourself. Let me move this over a little bit. When you're rolling out dough to make a round, you want to keep turning it. Roll it from the center out to the edge. This is nice dough. You just want to keep it moving, make sure it never sticks to the board. You can roll it on wood, but if you have stone, it's even better. Right on the counter. Okay, now the secret to the dough sticking to the dish is just do a little bit of an egg wash that you're going to use on the top anyway, around the edge. It makes it a little wet. So just put the dough on top. This is obviously a little too big. And you just want to trim the dough so that it's about 1/2 inch bigger than the bowl. Doesn't have to be perfect. Nice country, homey, rough edge is nice. Just like that. Okay, and then just stick it to the edge of the bowl. And it'll stick because of the egg wash that you put on it. Now just egg wash the top. So the dough puffs up and it's nicely browned. It's gonna be wonderful. So when these bake, the steam in the chicken pot pie filling will puff up the dough and it's gonna turn out gorgeous. And then I like to season the top with flaked sea salt so you see it, it's just wonderful. Flaked sea salt, want to have lots of flavor, cracked pepper. Okay, that one's done. And I'm gonna bake them for an hour at 375 and they're gonna be puffed and succulent chicken pot pies. I think we're all gonna have a good time.